What do Unitarian Universalists believe? Sometimes the answer is, whatever you want. Right? We've heard this. I've heard it. Really, that's not quite right. I myself am prone to saying, we acknowledge we are all on different paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another and challenge and hold one another accountable on our paths to truth, knowing that we know and are more together than we are alone. And really, that's not fully right either. As we learned from our last month on history, Unitarian Universalism is not just a blank slate. We come from two liberal Christian traditions with their own cultural makeup and their own beliefs. Where we currently are is a mix, a beautiful mix of one, the historical beliefs of Unitarianism and Universalism, and two, the beliefs of all of us, the individuals and communities of all who are currently Unitarian Universalist, right? We embrace theological pluralism, many people holding many beliefs, and we do so from a particular orientation, and often with some shared beliefs. Now, for help on how to have a conversation and some structure about this what we inherit theologically and how we are remaking it today and now, we turn to Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, whose reading we heard this morning. Now, Parker provides us with a metaphor, the metaphor of a house, for understanding the Unitarian Universalist theology that we inherited and how we reshape and reconstruct it. So you might notice on your order of service on the back of it, there is a house. It might be upside down, it might be right side up, but either way, it is a house. And some of you might have colored pencils to jot some things down. If you do not have a colored pencil and you are someone who enjoys engaging by drawing or writing, do we still have more colored pencils, ushers in the back? I think so. Raise your hand if you want a colored pencil and don't have one, and an usher will give one to you. Okay. I didn't tell the ushers about this, so thank you, and I'm sorry for not before. All right, we're going to go on as some people wait for their colored pencils. So we're going to start by talking, one right behind you. Okay. Excellent. See, we're really going to engage this theology because we are a part of it and rewriting it and reconstructing it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the literal structure of a house and how the structure of the house is a metaphor for our theology and what we believe. Now, the way Parker does this is that each part of the architecture of a house represents a different type of belief. This is actually kind of a crash course in systematic theology, which you don't need to know, but when you leave here, you can feel really good that you covered a whole lot of complex theology in one morning. So preemptively pat yourself on the back. Okay, we're going to go through each part of the house, doors, windows, roof, etc., and we're going to do 3 things for each part of the house. Number 1, we're going to talk about what each structure is in this metaphor of a house of belief. 2, we're going to share what Parker defines as the historical, oh my God, another spider, you all. For those of you who weren't here last week, there were 2 spiders up and down on the microphone the whole time. Okay. Number 2, we will share what Parker defines as the historical Unitarian Universalist belief represented by the structure. And number 3, I will invite you to write or draw down what it is you believe as an individual, because our own beliefs are really important as they're what we use to reconstruct this theological house. Cool? It's also okay if you don't know what you believe or have an answer to every one of these questions. You can just write down the question and ponder it more later. Part of why we're doing this today is because we as Unitarian Universalists don't talk about our beliefs all that often, because we agree that our actions are more important than what we believe, right? And you're like, then why are we doing this now? because sometimes when we are in conversation with others, especially in an interfaith conversation and with other religions, it is really important for us to be able to define what it is we believe. And it can be really important for us as individuals, especially when we're facing hard moments in our lives, to remind ourselves and ground ourselves in what it is that we believe. So that's why we take the time to do this morning. Okay, on to the task at hand. Number one, we are going to start with the elements. So we see some of the elements that surround our house. I think you can see a sun, maybe a cloud. Some of you might want to draw some wind or rain, maybe even a little fire if you want. Now, these elements that are outside of our house represent the elemental forces that are a part of all our lives. They represent the spirit of life. They are, in our theological construction, how we talk about and define the elemental force, that spirit of life. They are the words that we use to describe the ultimate or the intimate, the universe, God, goddess, whatever words we might use. Now, according to Parker, for Unitarian Universalists, historically, in this theological house we have inherited, the spirit of life is a spirit that, and I quote, is in all things, moves all things, is in us and is in others, and weaves us all together. End quote. We believe in having a direct, unmediated experience of the mystery or spirit, right? There is no religious authority who tells us how we encounter or relate to the spirit. Spirit does not belong to anyone and is affirmed in all cultures. Spirit allows us to grow and transform. That is what we inherit. You can kind of feel that here on some Sundays, right? So now, a moment of reflection. How do you talk about that elemental force, that spirit of life? What words would you use to describe the ultimate, intimate spirit of life? Feel free to write it in the clouds or the sun, draw it, take a moment. All right, the reality is we're not going to have enough time to do all these questions in depth, but you can always just make a note. Spirit, question mark, in the clouds. How do I define that? And you can contemplate it as you go about your week. All right, now we're going to get to the real house. Number two, the foundation. Our foundation is our relationship between humans and whatever that ultimate, intimate, higher power, deeper power is. So, whatever it was that you just defined in number one, in our elements, in our spirit, your foundation is the relationship between you and us as humanity in whatever is ultimate or intimate. So if you're just jotting down questions, you might want to write on the base of the house, relationships between human and ultimate. Now, Parker says that this foundation, what Unitarian Universalists have long said about our relationship between humanity and the spirit of life, comes primarily from Unitarianism and says that humans were made in the image of God and have the capacity for good. Now, though there are theists and humanists among us, there is an agreement that, and I quote, "To be a human being is to be capable, responsible, and of inherent worth." End quote. As we are made in the image of God, knowing ourselves and one another is how we come to know God or Spirit. So, two things there. Most of us would not say that we are made in the image of God anymore, but our theological history, right, says that because we were made in the image of God, we are capable, responsible, and of inherent worth. And because we were made in the image of God, we know God by knowing ourselves and one another. All right. Yeah. And some of us are really feeling that. And some of us might want to change it around a little more, and that's why we're doing this. It's great. Okay, so now we get to reconstruct what we inherited a bit. So take a moment now to ponder or write down or draw, what is it that you believe is the relationship between humans and that ultimate, intimate spirit of life? All right, the foundation is really the most complicated part. So if you're feeling a little muzzled, don't worry, we're about to get a little more practical. Okay, now we move on to the walls. The next essential part of our house, the thing that holds us together. Our walls are how our congregations, churches, and fellowships are structured. The why and the how of the how and why we are together. There we go. Now, importantly for us in this answer of why and how are choice and promise. We are together because we choose to be in relationship with one another, because we choose to support one another, and because we choose to be in covenant with one another, right? There is no divine mandate that we must gather together in congregations. We have agency and we are actively choosing to be together. It is our choice to be together here in our fellowship, and it is our promises, the promises that we make and keep with one another. It is our covenant we keep with one another that keeps us together, right? The why is the choice, and the how is our promises, our covenant. How we promise and covenant to be together. So that's what we've inherited. That one makes a little more sense, right? We choose to be here. We have a covenant that we come to agree with that sort of guides us in how we are together. So my question for you this morning is, what is your how and why? What is your why you are a part of this fellowship? If it's your first time, why did you get in here this morning? Why did you move in here this morning? If you've been here a while, why do you keep coming back? And the how do you engage with others at the fellowship? This can be a reflection of the current reality, or it can be aspirational. You could write about how you hope to be with others. Take a moment, ponder the how and why you are here. All right, step number 4 is, let's look up, our roof. Yes, our roof. Our roof is what protects us from the elements, and so our roof in our theological metaphor is what protects us and what we need to be sheltered and protected from. Now, in many Christian theologies, this would be hell, evil, or the devil. From our Universalist tradition, we claim that all people are saved, so that's really less of a worry for us. And we also claim that hell is experienced in the here and now. What Universalists might claim is that we create hell when we harm one another, and what saves us from this harm is love and connection. Yes, we're feeling that one. We've got some amens. The knowledge that truly we are not divided from one another is what saves us from the hell we can create here on earth. Our hope and our salvation come from love and our ability to embody it, right? Our ability to embody that love. That one makes sense, right? We feel that one. We've also heard a little bit more about it this past month. So a little reconstruction time. What is it that you need to be protected from, or that you think humans need to be protected from? And what provides you or us with this protection? take a moment to ponder. What do you or humanity need protected from, and what provides you with this protection? All right, step number 5. We've only got 2 more to go, don't worry, and they're the most fun. So step number 5 is, actually, we had an elephant earlier today enter through a door in the back of our sanctuary. And the door in our house represents both where we come from and where we are going. Our door is the endpoint and the goal. Now, Parker says that for Unitarian Universalists, our belief in progress is essential here. Now, traditionally, like way on back, Unitarian Universalists have said that where we came from was not as good as where we are now, and where we are going is better, right? A belief in progress. Now, this belief was challenged a bit during the Great World Wars, and we have a bit of a shift from modernity to post-modernity, but that's another sermon for another day. What many might say now is that the better is here, and we can choose to participate in it now by doing better now, right? So there is always an option for growth, for progress, for better in our midst, and we have the capacity to choose to participate in it by doing better. That is the goal, right? To do better in the here and now, or as some might say, to continue to curve that long arc of the universe towards justice, a belief in progress and that things will get better. So, for you, for each of us, where did we come from? Where are we going? And what is the goal? Just a light question for your Sunday morning, like, right? Where did humanity come from? Where is it going? What's the goal? You can jot it down. You can think about it on a rainy day when that happens in a week or two. All right, last but not least, my favorite part of every house, the windows. Now, our windows are how we look at the outside, and particularly in this model at other houses, and how we are with our neighbors. Now, we're going to flip this one real quickly and have you ponder before we talk about what Unitarian Universalists historically have believed about this. So take a moment to just think about, how is it that you look at others, that you look at your neighbors, and how you treat your neighbors? You can think very locally, like in your neighborhood, or you can think a little more widely in your community. All right, you can also think about how we treat our faith neighbors. All right, this is the best part, folks. I can't even hide it. So for Unitarian Universalists, Parker says, we invite others into our house, and we want to learn from them. And uniquely, we want to incorporate them into our very house life, AKA religion, if they would like. If our neighbors come in and say, hey, we'd like to stay for forever, we say, great, what do we need to do to make this place yours as well? right? We see our neighbors, in other words, as ourselves, as people who are one of us already. And this is why our theological house continues to be reconstructed every moment of every day. Because an essential and beautifully miraculous part of our belief is an inclusion and welcome for all who might come through our doors. To the extent, this is not just like a welcome, we hope we can find a seat that is comfortable for you. This is like, welcome, and if we need to redo the roof for you so that you can have a skylight because you love looking up at a skylight, like, well, we're gonna do that, right? Also, skylights are great. We'd all be better with skylights, okay. So we include other people to the extent of reimagining and reconstructing our own house, our own theological house, so that all who are here can have our house be theirs. All of our theological houses are unique in their own ways, right? Like the theological house of every religious tradition is unique. But I think it's this part that makes us stand out to me and is why I love Unitarian Universalism. We strive to honor the beliefs and cultures of others and will reshape our structure and even our beliefs because our structure is only in service to this goal of inclusion and of all who want to have shelter with us, finding that here. Therefore, our structure must shift so this goal can stay central. This is why, when new folks and new members gather with Karen and the membership team, they often will share their own journey, their own spiritual or religious journey of what brought them here. Because your experiences, and each and every one of your experiences, when reflected on and incorporated into how we live, shapes our beliefs, shapes the collective beliefs of this community. That's some pretty cool stuff right there. So let's keep sharing and keep reconstructing our theological house to include and celebrate all who find shelter within its walls. Amen. May it be so, and may we make it so.